The Last X. Chapter 6. 1.6. Over the next several weeks, Chen Yu diligently exposed Lu Yao's every mistake while also uploading videos of his music under an anonymous identity. Despite the deliberately amateur presentation of the videos which showed that Shaoli was filmed secretly, netizens raved about their xiao bao bao. His fans praised the mysterious performer not only for how moving his music was and how sweetly he sang, but also for how charming what they could see of his body and face was. Although Chen Yu ensured that his whole face was never exposed at any one time, the glimpses he revealed of his 5 features individually made it obvious that he was gorgeous. In fact, Chen Yu was somewhat surprised at how much he found himself purely focusing on music rather than calculating such tactics. It seemed that unlike the characters he'd played before, who had no significant personality settings, this time he'd inherited the original owner's love of music. He was filled with excitement and joy when he played, so that he would unknowingly spend hours practicing. Unfortunately, he also had to deal with Shaoli's underfed physique. To be able to perform vigorously, Chen Yu decisively used the system's gift of a golden finger to optimize his stamina. Thus, even well-known professional musicians could not help but to praise his blend of technique and passion. Chen Yu carelessly selected his pieces from his memories of different worlds. However, what was popular in other modern worlds was naturally also popular here, so that people everywhere jammed out to his drum rendition of Michael Jackson's Billie Jean and cried emotionally when he performed Don't Stop Believin' on his guitar. The most intense fan of Chen Yu was probably Zhao Kui. After Ming Wu had shown him the first video, Zhao Kui had, in passing, instructed his secretary to send him a background report on Shaoli and inform him if any other clips were released. In the beginning, he was merely slightly interested. But the more he watched, the more he became obsessed. Zhao Kui had never tolerated weakness in himself or others. To hold his position today, he'd crushed countless people without hesitation, and he was fully prepared to have more blood on his hands. Thus, he'd always regarded those with submissive personalities like Shaoli's as inadequate and disposable. But Shaoli's performance throughout the numerous videos demonstrated the immense emotional intensity and strength of will that he'd needed to reach his complete mastery of music. Knowing the neglect Shaoli had suffered at the orphanage, it was especially remarkable that such a restrained, pitiful boy could bloom on his own and produce music that touched so many people. Shaoli, Zhao Kui thought, was what true, pure genius looked like. Thus when Zhao Kui watched Shaoli now, he only saw a treasure he wanted to hold and pamper in the palm of his hand. Accordingly, when Zhao Kui discovered the way Shaoli was overworked and pressured at the academy as well as his disregard in self-care, he immediately assigned guards to secretly assist and monitor the young man. He insisted to himself that he was simply concerned that his baby, who clearly only cared about music and didn't know to express himself through other ways, would be bullied, but he knew in his heart that as important to him were the thousands of surveillance records he received from the guards. These photos were hidden in various areas around Zhao Kui's office and home and saved carefully on his phone. Occasionally, he would find shots of Shaoli so rushed to play music that he forgot to dress after showering or wearing only an oversized shirt that clung wetly to his chest when he clumsily washed his dishes. Looking at the provocative pictures, Zhao Kui's mood was complex. How could Xiao Xiao be so careless? What if he caught a cold? What if someone else caught sight of his body? But Zhao Kui was also addicted to these tantalizing pictures, and he didn't know what he would do if Shaoli raised his guard. In fact, Zhao Kui's worries were groundless. Chen Yu had long discovered that someone was stalking him. It was simply that once he'd determined that his shadows intended to help him, he didn't care to interfere. Additionally, he was in such a good mood these days from harassing Lu Yao that he even dropped some fan service. The Zhao Kui who'd been haplessly hooked by Chen Yu's flippant treats fed his craving, habitually streaming clips of Shaoli continuously throughout his lunch break. His mouth dried as he studied Shaoli's creamy thighs tightening around the instrument, thin fingers quivering up and down the strings, and the bead of sweat that snaked down along his delicate neck. Clearly he was wholesomely playing music, but somehow he simply exuded an indescribable allure. With Xiao Li's every move, Zhao Kui found himself straining forwards to catch a glimpse beneath the white shirt. At the same time, the thought of other people watching the boy made his chest feel stuffy. Zhao Kui tapped his fingers one by one on the desk, considering. Apparently he'd reached the end of his patience. Picking up the phone directly, he directed, Mingwu, take down all videos of Xiao Baobao, find out who's been recording them, and take care of business for a week. Remembering that Xiao Xiao had a scar that stretched across his back, he added, find out if any children between the ages of 5 to 10 were admitted for severe back injuries in X country about 10 to 15 years ago and was later transferred to the National Orphanage. Struck by lightning from blue skies, Mingwu wanted to protest but could tell it would be fruitless. Sobbing silently, he responded. Yes, boss. Who told him to try to make friends with the devil? Zhao Kui hummed and immediately arranged for a flight to X country. Time to meet his baby again. Chen Yu, who had no idea what natural disaster was coming for him, was having a delightful time. Having been snubbed by all the teachers every day, Lu Yao's already wan face became haggard and her eyes puffy. Even in class, she didn't have the energy to look after the students. Chen Yu enjoyed watching the woman grow uglier and gloomier by the day, waiting for her to snap. Presumably, in the original plot the male lead Nangang Wei would have stepped in. But at the time Chen Yu had first arrived in this world, Lu Yao had barely started to consider dropping Headmaster Feng for Nangang Wei. The male lead had also just made some joking advances on Lu Yao without thinking much about it. If Chen Yu hadn't destroyed Lu Yao's reputation, looks, and enthusiasm, her love of music and teaching would have made her the white moonlight in Nangang Wei's heart by now. Of course, Chen Yu was around, so Nangang Wei merely felt bored with the lethargic and homely female lead. As for Chen Yu, once he met the rich playboy Nangang Wei, he truly gave thanks that he hadn't chosen to seduce him. Looking at the teenager with ear studs and eyeliner marks, Chen Yu only felt so old. Besides, there was really no need. Looking at him, Chen Yu could tell that he didn't have the brains or the creativity to have played much of a part in what happened to the original Shaoli, and currently, he hadn't even begun dating Lu Yao. Lu Yao's breaking point came suddenly. While walking past Lu Yao to hand out instruments to the students, Chen Yu appeared to be hit by her shoulder and dropped a violin bow. Fed up with what she now could guarantee was Xiao Li's White Lotus act, Lu Yao grabbed the bow and threw it at Xiao Li's startled face, screaming, Xiao Li, what are you doing, breaking school property? Can you even afford to replace it? And stop acting like I'm abusing you, you clearly fell by yourself. Prepared, Chen Yu had already positioned himself so that when he dodged slightly, the flying bow skimmed past his cheek and smacked into Nangang Wei's face. He wouldn't hurt him excessively, but Nangang Wei had, after all, originally cooperated in oppressing the original owner and deserved at least this much pain. Distracted by the show, Chen Yu stumbled, but instead of the ground, he fell into a burning embrace. Truly surprised this time, he stared up into an intense pair of pitch-black eyes. Ah! Seems to be familiar? Looking down at the puzzled little face he'd done so much to in his imagination, Zhao Kui tilted his lips. Those red-rimmed eyes like a white rabbit and smooth apple-red cheeks truly made him want to just take a bite. But when Zhao Kui noticed the scratch under Xiao Li's eye, his gaze sharpened like knives. He softly stroked the cut and asked in a hoarse voice, Teacher Xiao, are you all right? The vibration against his chest made Chen Yu come back to reality from his admiration of the man's compelling face, and he struggled out from Zhao Kui's arms. That deep voice belonged to Mr. Zhao Kui. What was he doing here? What was with that thirsty gaze? Could it be? This was his stalker, and the hidden guards had retreated because of their employer's presence. As a good little sheep, however, Chen Yu didn't dare ask any of these questions. instead hurriedly thanking him for his catch and turning around to help Nangongwei, whose nose was bleeding profusely. Watching his baby leave him to take care of another man, Zhao Kui's eyes darkened. Of course he knew that Xiao Xiao was just doing his job, but that didn't mean he wasn't jealous. Looking for a target to vent on, he turned to the woman he'd seen shrieking and throwing things at Shaoli. Lu Yao had been frozen after she made a scene, but she woke up shuddering under this imposing man's blazing eyes. Gathering all her courage, she questioned, "Who are you? Outsiders aren't allowed." Before she could finish, Headmaster Feng, who had just been alerted to Zhao Kui's arrival, rushed into the classroom and bowed deferentially. "Master Zhao, I'm sorry I couldn't escort you in." Zhao Kui leisurely commented, "It seems Headmaster Feng is really too busy these days. Incomplete reports, untimely responses, negligent management. Do you need to take a break for a while?" Headmaster Feng raised his head abruptly. What had displeased Zhao Kui so much that this man wanted to fire him? However, when he saw the chaotic and bloody scene around him, he had no excuses. He bowed again and vowed, "I apologize, Master Zhao, I will make sure to correct the issues immediately." With his nosebleed finally slowing, Nangongwei pointed at Lu Yao and yelled, "I don't care how you fix this, but you'd better make sure to fire that bitch or this Laozi will take care of it for you." "Damn, I think my nose is sprained." On the side, Chen Yu narrowly resisted face-palming. This young master is really so stupid. How can a nose be sprained? Putting aside his heartfelt sympathy for the boy's parents, he turned to Lu Yao and quietly said, "Teacher Lu, if you have a grudge against me, you should resolve it privately instead of pulling in our students. This time, I really can't help you protect your reputation." Hearing this, the faces of both Headmaster Feng and Lu Yao sank. The former could clearly recognize that Shaoli was turning his own words back on him, and the latter wanted to scream that Shaoli had obviously destroyed her reputation on purpose. But in front of Zhao Kui, they had to swallow their objections. With such a powerful witness, they knew that speaking up would only make their punishments heavier.